Well, hello and welcome back, everybody, to the SC1 Factory team call for this week. We have this call every single Tuesday night, same time, unless you're in Arizona and we shift it up when everybody else changes their clocks. But we are working to build your dream by focusing on building an SC1 factory here with the Freedom Reigns team. So if you don't know, we do have a YouTube channel. It is Team Freedom Reigns. Go subscribe. You can use the QR code that's right here on this screen. You'll be able to go subscribe and make sure that you select, ring the bell so that you get notifications when we upload this weekly content that we have for you every single week. Plus, we do opportunity presentations that we upload. There's just a lot of content there, great resources for you. This Zoom has the same Zoom ID number and the passcode every single week, so make sure you take note of that as well. I just want to make sure I hit that this promotion is going to be over at the end of the month. So if you don't have this on your own subscription, or if you're not talking to your prospects about how they can save up to 25% savings on products that never go on sale, make sure that you start to do that, because this promotion is good through January 31st. When you purchase the Healthy Edge Stack with Mind Body System, you get up to 25% off savings off of the individual product pricing, as well as if you want to just purchase that Mind Body, you just need to add in the Mind Body to the rest of the products you have. You can get 20% off of Mind Body System in January as well. Now, there's some big stuff happening in February. If you haven't seen this product training yet, make sure that you go into the hub or check your email. There's links in there for it. It was in the Motivation Monday email this week about the launching of these two products February 2nd. We have Axio X. It's like Axio on steroids. It's fantastic for pre-workout, for those days that you need that extra energy, anything like that. This is going to be the go-to product. Actually, Presidential Brandon Cunningham says it is completely different than Axio, and it is exactly what you need for those extra hard days, okay? It will come in a 15-stick pack. It has 38 cells volume associated with it. The consultant pricing is $51.99, customer on subscription $58.49, and retail pricing is going to be $64.99. Now, keep in mind, this is not necessarily an everyday use product. It is a little bit more expensive, but for me, I plan on trying it out starting with a half a stick. But I can't wait to try this before my workouts. And then on top of that, we also have coming, whoops, don't want both of them to be there, Phyto Power B. So this is the name that it had when it was Love Biome's product. So it's coming over. We have enough product in stock to last a couple months, and then it will be rebranded to Carb Block in April-ish, around that time, maybe even in March. So by the way, guys, this is some information I just got today on the FAB Zoom. So just know that, some of this stuff can change, but I wanted to give you a heads up of what's coming February 2nd. It too, and by the way, this is something that's going to help you block the effects of those bad carbs, whether it's the sugars or the simple carb or the complex carbs that generally increase your blood sugars, all that kind of stuff. This is a carb block product. Again, some people will use it on the daily, but most of us probably won't use it every single day. Maybe we'll take it before we're going to a birthday party and we know we're going to be having cake and ice cream, or something equivalent to that, maybe before big birthday dinners or Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner, whatever it is where you're going to have a lot of those carbs that you really don't want sticking around in your body. This is going to be the product that you're going to want to go to. It is going to be rebranded to Carb Block in just a couple months, but the pricing here, consultant pricing $39.99, customer on subscription $44.99, and retail $49.99 with 30 cells volume associated with that product. Now, these next ones I'm super excited about. They've actually already been teasing the Healthy Edge Gold Pack and Stack out there to us. We've been able to purchase on the discount two, basically, of the Healthy Edge stacks. in one go. So you get that extra discount, right? So basically this is 2 of the Healthy Edge stacks that you're getting at a discounted price, even on top of what the discount was in the Protandim and P84 combination. So for the pack, you can now use this for new consultants getting started. So if you have a couple that want to start as a consultant, they can each get Protandim and P84. The pack that comes with all the business materials is for $29.99. It has 290 sales volume associated with that. For the stack for consultants, it's $379, and then customers on subscription $427.49, and retail pricing you can see there. And then this next one is one that those of us on the FAB, and we know a lot of people in the field have been asking for, and that is Healthy Edge combined with collagen. So starting February 2nd, you'll start to be able to purchase this stack to give you those extra discounts. Has 250 in sales volume. It's $366.99 for consultants to be able to get started on this pack. And then the consultant pricing, for our consultant price being a consultant, we get that extra 10% discount, right? $316.99. I haven't broken it down entirely what that savings is, but when you look at the cost of Protandim, P84, and collagen, this is saving you some money. And then on top of that, we've got the customer subscription price and the retail pricing there. And these are going to be launching February 2nd. So super excited for this additional offer that we're going to be able to give to our new customers, our new consultants, and then on their subscription pricing as well. All right, so we're going to run through this Achievers Retreat incentive again, because guys, we have only through March to be able to earn the trip to Whistler, Canada. Now, the qualification period started January 1st. You need 75 points to qualify. You do get $750 in flight credits along with the trip itself, and that trip is for 2 people. By the way, the trip's in July, and if I'm a little nervous about what the heat's going to be like here in Arizona in July, since it's 75 degrees in the middle of winter here right now. So I think Whistler, Canada sounds really great in July. Some of the rest of you might be wishing we were going somewhere warmer, but that is where the trip is. You need 75 points. The way you earn those is first by enrolling new customers and consultants. So for every customer that you enroll that has at least 200 in sales volume in that first order, and they set up a subscription, it does not have to have 200 sales volume for the subscription, just their first order with 200 sales volume, and then they have a subscription set up in the next month. You get 1 point for each customer that does that. And then our consultants, your new consultants, when they enroll with at least 200 in sales volume on that pack, which all of our packs have at least 200 sales volume, you will get 3 points for every new consultant that you enroll during this qualification period that comes in with that 200 sales volume and sets up for a subscription in the second month after they start their business. So that's how you enroll and get points for the Whistler trip. Now for retaining, it's exactly the same as what we've done previously in other qualifications. Each time you increase your personally enrolled subscription volume, that's you, your personally enrolled subscription consultants and customers, what they purchase every single month, that sales volume all added together, you increase that by 500 in sales volume, and you will get 3 points each month that you do that. And you can do this multiple times in 1 month as well. So how can you do that? Well, obviously, those new people that you're enrolling, you want to make sure you get them set up on subscription so that you're increasing that baseline the second month, and reaching out to your current customers and consultants and making sure that they're educated on the products we have, and potentially helping them increase their activation journey with additional products that we are releasing, or maybe that they just haven't known about, right? So those are the ways that you can earn those retained points. And then, of course, the third letter in our ERA, the enroll, retain, and advance. The advance points, this is when you personally rank advance, and then when you help your personally sponsored consultants rank advance, you also get points for them. Now keep in mind, you only need 75 points. So if you are rank advancing, if you potentially have not hit SC1 yet, that would be 20 points. And then if you jump up to SC3, that's an additional 20 points, right? So guys, you can add up these points pretty quickly. Plus, if you're helping other people rank advance, you absolutely can earn this Whistler trip. It's always a 5-star. experience, and it's for you plus a tag along, right? So you get to bring someone with you for that. Plus, right now we have a double dipper on that retain track incentive. We have got the points that you can earn for the Whistler trip, but you can also earn additional cash. So you grow 500 above your baseline to earn one retain track, and as soon as you earn 3 tracks, you're going to earn $500 in cash. Now that's between January and the end of March. So you could do one this month, one in February, one in March, and earn the $500. Or if you really wanted to go crazy and really build your business fast, you could get 3 this month, 3 in February, and 3 in March, and you can earn up to $1,500 cash, US dollars, all by taking advantage of this retain track incentive. So huge, huge opportunity for extra cash, which will roll us right into April, which is our Breakthrough Momentum Academy in Las Vegas, Nevada. If you are not registered yet, you need to get registered as soon as possible and get your room in the room block. You can do that through this QR code here right now. The actual event is April 16th through 18th. The full itinerary is already online, so just go into this QR code and it will show you the full itinerary, and then you can click on the link to register. There's also a link there that you can get your room in the room block that LifeVantage has set up. The rate is only $169 a night. That's such a great rate, especially if you're sharing it with someone else. Plus, think about this, guys. They have upped the ante. For everybody that gets yourself registered and gets your room scheduled through that room block, you will also get an exclusive LifeVantage swag bag in your room. You're going to get reserved seating in general sessions, and you're going to get $10 event merchandise credit towards purchasing something in the store. And I learned today they are giving 2 per room, because we know that many of you share rooms, right? And so it's just going to automatically, there's going to be 2 of these swag bags in the room where you're going to be able to have the reserved seating in general session and those $10 event merchandise credits. So make sure that you go and you get yourself registered and get your room booked before March 8th, because that is the deadline for this special, the incentive with the swag bag. And we want to make sure that you guys all take advantage of that. Okay, fantastic. I see Dondee on here now, because we are rolling right into this week's topic for the SC1 Factory Call, and it is the second law in the Atomic Habits book that we are reviewing together by James Clear. This truly is where you can take tiny changes and have remarkable results in your life. You can, 1% better every single day. That is my focus right now, is just 1% better. I'm not going out and trying to break my back. I'm not trying to do everything just an instant, 180 in my lifestyle habits or in my mindset or anything like that. It's 1% better every single day. So we're going to jump into some of the neuroscience behind it, some of the strategy, but it's the second law: make it attractive. So hello, Dr. Dondee. Thank you for being on here with us. How are you?
There we go. I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. My screen wasn't responding. Well, thank you so much, Marcy. That all sounds great. I'm looking forward to this. And the second law is make it attractive. And if you listen to the book or you read the book, I thought some of the things that James Clear talked about in this was pretty interesting. Because first of all, this is all based on a dopamine feedback loop, because dopamine is one of those positive chemicals that once we get a taste of it, we really like it. We like to get replenished with it, and it really it's actually how habits are formed. So based on that dopamine feedback loop. So when you make it attractive, your body anticipates it, and there's actually more strength and more attraction to the anticipation than there is the actual event. So if you remember from the 4-way cycle, so the first is the cue, and the second, when you respond to the cue, it creates what? It creates a craving. This is all about the craving. And so if you make what you're craving attractive and you make it beneficial for you, and you understand how the dopamine feedback works, you can actually utilize it to your benefit. So in this, the second law the making it attractive. So the second law of atomic habits, make it attractive. So the behavior, it's driven by the desire and anticipation. So it's that anticipation of what you are about to experience. And Marcy and I were having a discussion about this. And so sometimes when you set a goal for something, whether it's to win a championship, or Marcy was talking about when she did the half Ironman triathlon, that once it was over, that it was kind of like the anticipation of it and the training and the cue and the craving that it created and the response when the reward came. It wasn't as, or it kind of dissipated, but the anticipation was greater of an attraction than the actual achieving of the scenario. And that happens in sports all the time. So the behavior, it's driven by your desire and the anticipation, and we act because a habit looks appealing. And so when you can get a habit appealing, and when you can get something that you're attracted to and you make it attractive, your body literally and your brain literally wants it, and you can use that to your benefit, because the attraction, it actually beats the discipline. So if again, you've got that goal, you've got that habit, you're doing it daily, but the anticipation of it is actually greater, and that actually motivates you. So this is where, what do you make attractive? What do we find attractive? What kind of habits do people make based on this dopamine loop? And you see the cell phone for social media, or the dopamine drip when you get a notification. In fact, the notification, the ding, is deliberate, because they figured out through, you heard Marcy talk about the psychology of this. There's an incredible movie called Social Dilemma, which is really all about the psychology behind some of the things that we're addicted to, and they want us to be addicted to them. So whether it's a chemical in a preservative or in a food source that is either salty or sweet or has fat in it, your body starts to crave it. It creates this dopamine feedback loop, and then that anticipation from the cue, the craving, the response, and then ultimately the reward. But you can use it. You are first of all, look at it this way. And I know this is a very strong word, but many of us are victimized by this because we don't really even know it's happening. But once you realize that it is, and you can use it at your disposal, because you can literally program your own brain based on that dopamine feedback loop, when you make it attractive and you attach it to something beneficial. In the way they talked about the habit stacking, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But it's the interesting that the brain will follow the dopamine, and your habits will follow the dopamine, because it builds up an expectation, and then you make the right habits feel rewarding. It's the anticipation making it attractive. And so, go ahead, next slide, Marcy. Or anything you wanna say on this slide, feel free.
Yeah, no, I just want to dive just a little bit deeper, and I know we will in a couple slides too, on what you were talking about with me with my cycling when it came to the half Ironman. I was totally motivated because I had the half Ironman coming up, and I was going to be competing with a much younger person, and I didn't want her to want to look bad for her, right? And so I worked really hard, and I had the motivation that I was going to be in the best shape that I could possibly be, so that I could be as fast as possible, because I was in a partnership. And so sometimes part of the reward can be having that accountability partner that you really have a great commitment to, and want to help them look the best that they can look by looking the best that you can look. So I just wanted to add that in there, and then I'll talk about the bad part of that too here in just a moment.
Absolutely. So when it gets into the so chapters 8 and 9 and 10 are in this second law. Well, chapter 8 talked about how to make a habit irresistible. And it's all based and predicated on that dopamine feedback loop. So the cue, which is the visual stimulation, which is the anticipation, and then the craving is something that you draw. There's something you're attracted to, or the anticipation of whatever that is, whether it's a salty snack, or whether it's the goal, or whether it's a new habit that you're going to create, or it's a previous behavior that you're rerouting by making it unattractive and learning how to reverse engineer that. But it's the response and ultimately the reward that allows us to happen. So the habits are dopamine driven feedback loops, and the anticipation is what fuels the action. So when you can do that, and if there was a couple examples that he gave, one guy was a guy who needed to lose some weight, but he also really liked Netflix and binging on Netflix. So he was an engineer, electronic engineer, so he rigged his TV to his exercise bike. And when he got into a certain rhythm of flat or plateauing his heart rate up to a certain level, then the TV would turn on, and he only after he was exercising could he watch Netflix. And if he slowed down in pedaling and it got below that heart rate, the TV would automatically turn off. So he understood and knew the advancing of that dopamine loop, and then programmed a positive into something that was based on not necessarily a negative or a neutral. So watching TV and Netflix by itself isn't necessarily bad unless you spend all your time doing it at the expense of something else. But he knew that when he was watching Netflix, he was not on his exercise bike until he figured out how to make it happen, until he figured out how to anticipate and fuel the action by making the habit exciting before starting. So he knew, I really want to watch Netflix, but the only way I'm going to watch Netflix if I get on my exercise bike and I get my heart rate up to a certain level. So it's that anticipation, or what is called temptation bundling. When you temptation bundle, it increases your follow through, because what was the draw? What was the craving? Netflix. What was the reward? Losing weight and getting in shape. He just married the two together, and that's some of the things we can do, again, optimizing or utilizing that dopamine habit forming and pairing what you need with what you want. And it was just brilliant in how he talked about that.
Yeah, so this really comes back to how we really talk a lot about celebration, right? And the importance of celebrating the small things. It's because once you accomplish something, if you don't have the celebration there, are you going to keep going? Are you going to be able to muster the discipline to continue on if your brain's not on your side? So basically, when you set yourself up here to be able to pair what you need with what you want, it keeps your brain seeking out doing more of what you did to be able to get what you want. So whether it is high-fiving yourself or high-fiving somebody else, whether it is, okay, so after I invite 10 new people to take a look at this opportunity, utilizing ITT, I am going to reward myself with this. Whether it is, a pedicure, or whether it's a massage, or whether it's just going for a walk with a friend, something that will be really rewarding for you, you want to make sure that you don't just give yourself the rewards all of the time, because then they don't mean as much when you need to pair them with something you need to do. So this is just a really good way. It works really great with kids too.
Absolutely. And we all have the wants and needs. There was something we need to do, but we get the things done that we want to do first. And so when you compare these together, and like Marci said, whether it's 5 reach outs or 5 follow-ups, or picking that phone up, that 5,000-pound phone to call the first person on your chicken list. And so it's something you need to do, something you may be even dreading doing, but take that thing that you find really attractive. Now, this is based on the honor system. I mean, if you cheat here, you're only cheating yourself. And remember what we talked about last week. So everything you do is a vote for the person you want to become. And so think about that. If you cheat yourself, you're only cheating yourself. So attach something super attractive so that as soon as you get that, call that person on your chicken list, you do the 5 follow-ups, you do whatever, send out invites again through the ITT system, like Marci said, then you can do that thing, or then you can indulge in that thing that you're attracted to. But pair something you need to do with something that you want to do. And the want to do is the attractive, but you got to do the thing you need to do first so that you can get to the reward. So again, this is all based on the dopamine feedback loop.
And make sure it's congruent, right? Make sure that you are pairing what you need to do with what you want in a congruent manner. So it's like you can't pair, okay, I'm gonna, call 3 people, and then I'm going to, because I want this Prada bag, right? That's not congruent with the action of what you need to do to what you want. More, that would be congruent with, I'm going to marry the process for a long enough period of time, and as soon as I hit executive, I'm going to get that Prada bag, right? But breaking it down into bite-sized pieces and giving yourself rewards along the way.
It's so funny you said that, Marci, because I was actually wondering whether I was going to bring this thing up, because yesterday, in preparation for today's call, I was at a different clinic than I'm normally at yesterday. And next to the clinic, and I didn't even tell you this, Marci, because I was somewhat embarrassed by it, but we have one of the clinics is literally right next to this place called Star Donuts. And I'm not necessarily a fan of donuts, but they've got the world's best apple fritters, and they're gigantic. And I was thinking, well, if I do this thing during my lunch break, if I spend my lunch break getting this and reading this chapter and getting, really get down what I want to say, I will reward myself with the apple fritter. And I thought, no, because one, an apple fritter is not a vote for the person that I want to become, though it is a reward. It is not the vote for the person I want to become. It's the person I don't want to become. And I realized as I was having this internal battle, and I was like, yeah, but it's only one. And then this little, the little devil pops up over here, and the little angel pops over here, and I've got this whole dialogue going on. But I could actually use that as an example, because it is an example of the positive feedback and doing something I want, or doing something I need to do, and then rewarding myself with something I want to do. But the reality was, it was not a vote cast for who I wanted to become. It's who I do not want to become. So thank you for that, Marcy. I had to out myself publicly on that one, because it does work, but that would not be a good choice.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So the next one is chapter 9, which is family, friends, and culture. Or he talks about proximity. So the people that you are closest to. So it's close, number, or tribe, and then the culture. And so, or somebody, or they talked about the closeness or the proximity, your friends and family are going to influence you the most. And I heard a podcast this morning, the guy was talking about, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And so the people that are closest to you, that close proximity, you will pick up on the things that people around you do, the way they talk. Maybe it's an accent, the kind of behavior, the things that they watch, the way they talk, the books that they read, those kinds of things. That's that close proximity influence. Well, that's the family, friends, and culture. Well, the other part of that is the number. So the what you don't want to be, sorry, I got to put my key back in. There we go. So you don't want to, it kind of goes back to Peter Drucker's diffusion of innovation bell curve. So sometimes people don't want to be first, but they certainly don't want to be last. And so once a couple people try something, it's kind of like that Life cereal commercial. If you remember, it's like they don't want to try it. Well, hey, let's get Mikey. And then Mikey eats it and he likes it. So then they like it, but they didn't want to be first. So we don't want to be first often.
You muted yourself.
That's the tribe. That's the people that you're around. And then the other part of it is the people you aspire to be. The power is what they talk about. When this one, we imitate the habits of others. We follow the close, the many, and the powerful, and belonging drives behavior, because nobody wants to be left out. And it was interesting, some of the examples they gave. And I remember watching a TV show, and I forget what it was called, but it came on during COVID. And it was this group of people that they were literally being studied, though they didn't know they were being studied. And they had these actors that would say, well, they would show two lines, one is the same length, and they were having people pick the wrong ones. And when there was only two people in the room and one picked the wrong one, the observer was like, no, it's totally not. And then they added more and more and more people, and there was actually a tipping point, and it was about 60 to 70%. When 60 to 70% of the people knowingly pick the wrong thing, but they're doing it for that one guy who doesn't know he's being set up, then he will go, well, all these people are right. I can't possibly be wrong. Although he knows in his mind it's not right, he still votes that way. That's the proximity, or that's the numbers part of it. And it's interesting how the psychology works, because people want to fit in. Belonging drives behavior, and it works with human beings. It works with other animal species, and it's demonstrable scientifically over and over and over again. That's why we want to join cultures where the habits are normal, meaning we determine them to be normal as opposed to outlandish, and the environment reinforces identity. They've got something in common with us. So, for example, if you've ever traveled internationally, or you're in a foreign country and you don't know who's who, but you see something that's familiar. I remember when we were in Croatia, Marcy and I were sitting having breakfast, and this kid was walking by, didn't know he was the child of Dr. Kat Caden, but he was wearing a shirt that had a rhino on the front. And I love rhinos. And I think Marcy even picked it up. She goes, look at that kid. He's got a rhino shirt on. So something I'm familiar with, and it's something that I consider to be normal. I was instantly attracted to him. Didn't know if he spoke English or whatever. Struck up a conversation. Turns out he's Dr. Kat Caden's son. And we developed this really cool bond. But we want what's familiar. We want the environment that reinforces our own identity, because we like to belong. And it really drives behavior. And they really got into deep detail on this in chapter 9.
Yeah, and in here too, it's really important that when you're joining cultures, that you're joining cultures that are promoting the person that you want to become, not cultures that are going to promote habits that are not positive and directional towards what your ultimate goals are. So just keep that in mind. Again, I mean, it is never an untruth that you become the average of the 5 people you hang around with most. So always keep that in mind.
Yes. And so the next, chapter 10, how to fix bad habits. Literally, you just make them unattractive. And so whatever, especially if it's something that you don't have to do, it's something you've been doing, just make it unattractive, however you choose to do that. And so when you basically what you can easily do is that you count the cost. And if I continue to do this, maybe it's a self-destructive behavior. If I continue to do this thing, what will my life be like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And Marci and I went to a Tony Robbins event called Unleash the Power Within, and he did this entire experiment kind of based on this, that he asked, think about what you think, and he made it very personal to somebody. And he just gave the assignment. I don't remember what it was, but I remember thinking about my daughter and what I would never want for her: to be homeless, to be pregnant and homeless and being a drug addict. And that's the vision I thought into my head. And what could I do if I attached that negative thing, that if I don't change what I'm doing now, it will cause my daughter to be homeless, pregnant, and a drug addict. And I was like, wow. And my brain went that dark. But if it's something where you attach something that you're currently doing and you make it unattractive, like something like that on a grand scale, you can pretty much break a habit. And Tony Robbins is notorious for helping people break habits by doing that kind of behavior. Think about something and anchor to it. Somebody that you love. How will somebody you love suffer? And in what way if you continue playing small? And then he went into the intricate details of it. I forget what the exercise was called. I think it had to do with Scrooge, the guy that has the ghost of Christmas past or whatever. Anyway, but it was pretty interesting. When you make your bad habits unattractive, it's easier to stop them because you break that dopamine cycle. And then highlight the cost. What will it cost? Whether it's someone else, what will it cost your business? What will it cost your friendships? And kind of think of it too. If you don't follow up with something that you've led somebody to believe is very important to you or very important to them potentially, and you reach out with an invitation and you don't follow up, you are literally telling them it wasn't as important as you thought it was, and you're breaking that is a bad habit to do, but you could be breaking a very, very strong relationship before it ever gets started. So kind of reframing your habits negatively will help you break them because you attach something bad to them or a bad outcome to them, especially if you continue doing it. And avoidance beats resistance. Like, because I just don't want to do that anymore. Well, if you can avoid it by making it unattractive, making it and exaggerating what could possibly happen, if you continue down that road, it makes it easier to break. But avoidance beats the resistance, because they were giving a kind of an example of somebody who's never smoked before. They don't have any problem resisting it. But if somebody who has smoked before and they're quitting, they may have a problem resisting it. But if they avoid it altogether by saying, no, I'm not quitting smoking, I am a non-smoker. It's just an identity shift. It's a definitive line in the sand, but it's based on making something unattractive. Make your habits unattractive to break them.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple examples of what reframing habits negatively can look like. First of all, you have to identify maybe a habit that you have that is taking you away from that person that you want to become. One of them could be snacking late at night, right? And so you could reframe that into, it's like, if I continue to snack late at night, I'm going to gain weight, I'm going to have inflammation, I'm going to have aches and pains, and I'm not going to be able to keep up with my future grandkids. Right? Because that creates a negativity around it, because that's one of my greatest desires. That's why I had my kids young, is so that I could be the young grandma and be able to chase them around and be able to have fun and enjoy life with my grandkids, right? So if I start to think about this thing that has become something that has been a hindrance in my life and has become a habit, and it's been something that's been maybe a go-to because it is stacked with something else. Now, if I'm reframing it into a negative, that if I eat after 8 p.m. at night, I am going to gain weight, I am going to have inflammation, I am going to have aches and pains, and that's going to keep me from what I want most. So why would I keep doing that, right? And then another one is, how about that scroll hole? The scroll hole. So what could you reframe that scroll hole, right? Think about the scroll hole. For every minute that you spend scrolling on Instagram or Facebook or any of the platforms, you are stealing your future rank, or you're stealing your future zero on your paycheck. That you are stealing from yourself, and you're stealing from the generations behind you. And so just reframing those habits, they may not seem like, that 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours that you find yourself scrolling on social media may not seem that bad in the moment, and it's easy just to move forward. But when you put it with a negative frame, like that stealing the future rank, or stealing money from your future generations, or not being able to do the thing that you want to do the most, suddenly it really gives it a bad taste in your mouth, and you want to find a way to change it.
Oh yeah, mic drop. And then how do we apply this and implement this into building your SC1 factory business? Well, just make it a travesty about all the things. So use that temptation bundling. That's something that you want to do attached to something that you're paired with, something that you need to do. And we gave you some examples of that, and you can create your own scenarios with that. But surround yourself with the SC1 culture. So that's the proximity, that's the group, that's the tribe. So on calls like this, watching the videos, getting into boards and looking at some of the content that we have for Team Freedom Reigns, getting on Team Freedom Reigns and looking in there and contributing to that, following along with the LifeVantage consultant page, so you can just be immersed in and get on the calls, get on the month end call, the month beginning call, get on the virtual events, obviously enroll and register to go to the event in Las Vegas. So when you immerse yourself into that, it's a great habit to form, and you're surrounding yourself with the SC1 culture. And then create motivational rituals. Again, involve it in that temptation bundling or temptation habit stacking, and reframe your distractions. So your distractions, knowing you know what your distractions are. It's whether or not you admit them as a distraction. So once you do that, reframe that it's not important. You don't need that. Do something you need to do versus that, or even delete that app off your phone, whatever it takes to reframe that and actually have the discipline to follow through. And then let desire drive your consistency. So your desire for what? What is everything that you're doing? What vote are you making? Are you casting for that future self? What vote are you casting for that identity? What identity is that? And what are you trying to accomplish with your habits, with your goals? And a lot of the way you can follow that is make a morning routine, an afternoon routine, a daily routine, write it all down, and then celebrate and reward yourself and put it in that habit stacking order, like we talked about last week. And then the temptation bundling habit stack, where you're pairing something you want to do with something that you need to do, and do what you need to do first to reward yourself with the thing that you want to do. And that whole dopamine bundle loop of the cue, the creating the craving, and then the reward, or the response, and then ultimately to give you the reward. You can reframe that entire thing.
All right, guys. So Dondee made this really cool picture graph that goes along with the second law, make it attractive. So you can take a screenshot of this and it'll help you remember the different strategies, the science behind the desire, and how you can find and fix the causes of your bad habits, so that you can really start to implement the good ones that's going to help you get where you want to be and become the person that you have decided you truly are. You just need some work, right? You're just not quite there yet. So if you haven't got that screenshot, get that screenshot. But this recording will be up on YouTube, and so you can go back and review it. And then, of course, next week we will be reviewing the third law, make it easy. Way too often we make things so difficult, we never get to it, or we don't follow through. So important. So if you haven't gotten your book yet, QR code right here will take you directly to it on Amazon, so you can get it ordered, so that you can finish out the review of the Atomic Habits book by James Clear with us. So thank you so much for being here with us. We look forward to seeing you next week for the third law, make it easy.